The doors to the Viridian Tea House are open once more. Hello everyone, I'm back with some really great books to review and a new tea blend to talk about. So if you're ready, let's begin. So the first book that I want to review and talk about, I learned through an online webinar with Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado. They are very Buddhist influenced, and I've never been on the campus, but I have heard a lot about Naropa. And when I saw this particular webinar, I thought, sure, I'm game, learn something new. So this is Returning the Self to Nature by Jeanine M. Canty. I love that cover. And many thanks to Denver Public Library for having a copy of this book. But this is essentially undoing our collective narcissism and healing our planet. This book made me think a lot. It really did. And if you don't mind, I'm going to take the gloves off just for a moment. So in my life, I've known a couple of narcissists, a couple of control freaks, and they fit the definition. They may not have had all the signs, but they had them, and it's pretty obvious. And yet, in reading this book, I'm seeing them in a completely different light now. And it took me a while to adjust my thinking, because all during this time I thought, I just want to stay the hell away from these people. They are toxic. I was a victim. I still have some scars or whatever that I'm healing, exacerbated through my generalized anxiety. But because of this book, I'm thinking, they're just as much of a victim as their victims. So let me read the back of it for you. Using the lens of eco-psychology, the fundamental interdependence of wild ecology and human psychology, returning the self to nature shows that the pervasive and extreme forms of narcissism on the rise in modern societies are the result of alienation from the natural world. Through unflinching social analysis and meditation practices that encourage visualizing and embodying the wild naturalness of being human, this book invites us to unfurl from self-fixation and become more courageous, pluralistic, and ecological expressions of ourselves. And now about the author. Jeanine M. Canty is a professor in the Transformative Studies doctoral program at the California Institute of Integral Studies. Formerly the chair of environmental studies at Naropa University, she continues to teach at Naropa and at Pacifica Graduate Institute's Eco-Psychology Certificate Program. Her edited volumes include Ecological and Social Healing, Multicultural Women's Voices, and Globalism and Localization, Emergent Approaches to Ecological and Social Crises. This was published through Shambhala Publications, also in Boulder. And like I said, this really got me thinking. It really did. And she shows you a very hard truth to look at, in that we're suffering. We really are suffering. How many of us feel like there's something disconnected in our lives? When was the last time we took a walk in nature? When was the last time we meditated and grounded ourselves? When was the last time we didn't get mad at somebody because they're going too slow in traffic? Or we get mad because there's a car that's right on our ass and it whips around us just to turn left or just to stop and pull off somewhere. How many times have you seen people who say, it's all about me, it's all about me? Well, let me tell you what I did. They don't care about listening to your problems or your situation, because it's all about me, 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 me. Well, according to Returning the Self to Nature, this is collective. It's not just one person. And even the narcissists are part of this vicious cycle, and they're as much as victims as their own victims. That threw me. It really did, because I like I said earlier, I thought, whenever I hear that someone is a narcissist or displays narcissistic tendencies, I run like hell. I really do. But this is more of, we need to stop. Okay? We just need to stop. Stop making yourself the center of the universe. Stop saying it's all about me. It's all about me. Reconnect, reestablish that connection to nature, and lose the self. This has a very Buddhist answer for the problem. In this book, she also talks about the sixth extinction with regards to humanity. The fact that we're not going to last for too much longer on Earth, and so on and so forth. And all of this came from her relationship, a former relationship with a narcissist that got her thinking and expanding her view of narcissism to not just one person or certain people, but to collectively the entire planet. It does make you think, well, I'll just be apathetic. I mean, why even try? I mean, if all this is going on, if people are yelling and screaming at a retail worker because they happen to forget one item in their bag, is there hope for us? Well, according to her, I think yes. Like I said, losing the self, obtaining a more pluralistic view of who you are and your connection to strangers. Like in moving out here, I've wanted to have more conversations with strangers. If it's through tea or books, or if we just happen to be at an event together, and not going to an event for the sake of making friends, but going to an event to learn something new. And if I happen to talk with a stranger and we just have a pleasant conversation, then there's that connection that maybe will turn into a ripple effect to show that, yes, there are some people out there who they're turning the tides, as it were, against this rising collective narcissism. There were a couple times I had to put down the book and just really process what she was trying to get across. And also, like I said before, she doesn't hold anything back. She holds nothing back. And I did find myself nodding my head a couple of times going, yeah, okay. I see your viewpoint and I can respect this, and you've opened my eyes, very much so. So, returning the self to nature, undoing our collective narcissism, and healing our planet by Jeanine M. Canty receives Viridian Tea House's 4 Pots of Tea. What an eye-opener to read, and I highly recommend this to a lot of people. I recommend this very much so. It just makes me think about my place in the world. How can I turn the tide? How can I make the ripples to other people, and instead of a focus on personality, a focus on character? Instead of beating your chest and saying, I demand, I'm entitled. Instead, just taking several steps back and going, what is this? Where is this coming from? Why do I feel like this? How can I change? How can I? And how can my changes turn into something greater? For not just me, but for all of us. Dr. Canty, if you're watching this video, I applaud you. I really do. And I truly appreciate your words. I appreciate this book. And I just want to keep telling you thank you. And I would love to have tea with you sometime and just talk. Have a conversation. No list of subjects to cover, just talk. I would love that. But thank you again. And also, again, thanks to Denver Public Library and Shambhala Publications. Thank you. Once again, returning the self to nature, undoing our collective narcissism, and healing our planet. Thank you. So the second book it's actually a different version of one of my favorite essays. I do adore Virginia Woolf, and one of my favorite pieces of writing by her is A Room of One's Own. And if you've not read it, I highly recommend you read it. Again, it's another eye-opener. Well, imagine my surprise in seeing a children's version called A Room of Your Own, a story inspired by Virginia Woolf's famous essay. And this is by Beth Kephart and Julia Breckenreid. So check out that cover. I love that. The cover drew me. I mean, well, first it was inspired by the essay, but the cover really drew me. I was like, I have to check this out. And many thanks to Arapahoe Library District for having this book. But I'll just read the dust jacket for you. Sometimes Virginia Woolf wrote her stories in a garden shed. Sometimes she wrote them among stacks of books in a cool basement. And you? Where do you go to think, to dream, to be? The shade beneath a tall tree, the brick step on a city stoop, the cozy spot beneath the kitchen table, or inside the night's deep dark. Not all rooms require 4 walls and a roof. Inspired by the writer Virginia Woolf in her famous essay, A Room of One's Own, A Room of Your Own is about the importance of claiming a space for oneself. And just a little bit about the contributors. Beth Kephart is an award-winning author of books for adults, young adults, and children, including And I Painted, Henriette Wyeth's World, and Beautiful Useful Things, What William Morris Made, both published by Cameron Kids. She lives in Pennsylvania. And Julia Breckenreid is an award-winning fine artist and illustrator whose books include Dorothy and Herbert, An Ordinary Couple, and Their Extraordinary Collection of Art, published by Cameron Kids, and she lives in Toronto. But yes, this is a delightful book to talk about what's your personal space? What's your room? And it doesn't have to have 4 walls. Like my office is my writing studio, my tea making studio, sometimes my meditation studio, and my little library, part of the library in the back. But this is one of my, and then there's artwork all over the place, but this is one of my places of sanctuary. This is my room. This is where I can go when I just need to be quiet, when I just want a moment to myself, or when I'm angry and frustrated and I just need to belt it out, or when I feel extremely happy and I just need to enjoy the silence, very much so. But this is a delightful book that is perfect for children of all ages, adults, whether you've read the essay or not. So A Room of Your Own, try to get rid of the glare, receives Viridian Tea House's 4 Pots of Tea. I read this book twice and I truly did enjoy reading it. This was such a delight. So thank you very much to Beth and Julia for this creative and delightful, inspiring story. Thank you so much. Oops. So now in the tea portion, I talked about I had a new blend. Well, this is dedicated to all the plant lovers out there. This is called Green Thumb Weekend. And this is made with Pedernales Green Yaupon, lemongrass, watercress, or nasturtium, ground lime peel, and rosemary. Now, because it's made with yaupon, there is caffeine, even though this is technically an herbal tisane. The Pedernales Green Yaupon comes from Catspring Yaupon in Texas, and they are the same purveyors of the dark Marfa Yaupon that I use in Nature Walk. So if you've ever tried that before, it's the same company that made the Green Yaupon. So I wrote a little note about the Pedernales Green Yaupon, and this celebrates the tranquility of the Pedernales River. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. And it has a very clean and refreshing taste to it. So I actually tried a little bit before I started this video, and it was very clean and refreshing, even with the additional ingredients. You know, I really thought that the rosemary was going to be overpowering, but it actually wasn't. For those of you who don't know about yaupon, it is Ilex vomitoria, and that was because when Native Americans used it and they would throw up, the Europeans thought that it was poison. Not so. It is part of the holly family, and it grows here in North America, and it has some similar attributes of Camellia sinensis. So some people have called it the Camellia sinensis of North America. But even though it is from the holly family, like I said, there is caffeine to it. So I try to tell customers that when they're looking at the yaupon, it's like, oh, there's caffeine, just warning you. So this has been steeping for a while, but the color really hasn't changed that much. When I first steeped it and adding the hot water to this mix, it was a light, like pale gold color. And when I smelled it, I could smell all the ingredients kind of commingling together. And then in trying it, there's my little sample cup. This is still light and refreshing. I mean, it really is light and refreshing. This is perfect to make hot or iced and to enjoy with just a little bit of honey, just a little bit. And imagine, you know, if you have a green thumb and you just finished, you know, spending several hours digging in your garden or with your succulents or whatever, and you're just kind of taking a break. And I imagine drinking this tea would be a wonderful respite from digging in the dirt. But yeah, this is Green Thumb Weekend made with the Pedernales Green Yaupon from Catspring Yaupon in Texas. I'm just going to pour a little bit more there. Yeah. Cheers. That's interesting. With the temperature decreasing, I'm getting more of the lime peel, the lemongrass, and the yaupon. Not so much with the rosemary. Again, I really thought that the rosemary was just going to stand out, but it really hasn't. This is quite light and refreshing. This really is. This would be good after being out in a hot day. This really would be good. I think I'm going to try this iced. I'd like to try that iced. So that is all I have. We're getting ready to do our tea and or water breathing meditation. You know the drill. Just make sure that you have a glass of water or a cup of your favorite tea. And if you're ready, let's begin. And now let's end this breathing meditation with a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowly open your eyes or allow your eyes to come back into focus. And now let's have a sip of tea or water. Okay, now I got the rosemary. now I got it. Well, many thanks to Beth Kephart, Julie Breckenreid, and Jeanine M. Canty for their wonderful books. Many thanks to Catspring Yaupon for this delicious Pedernales Green Yaupon. And like I said, my new blend, Green Thumb Weekend, is now available in my Etsy store. Also, if you happen to meet me at any of the events that I do, the Wheat Ridge Farmers Market or Golden Farmers Market, Magic Makers Market, I'm also starting to do the Mutiny Markets again. Chances are I will have bags of this and many other blends inspired by books, art, music, and science. So that's all I have for today. And as always, take care of yourself and each other. Raise your teacup high. And remember, to drink tea is to enjoy life. I'll see you really soon. Bye for now.